The Baldur's Gate saga is living history among role-playing games in general and Western role-playing games in particular. The release of its first installment in 1998 marked a turning point for those of us who were passionate about role-playing, not only in video games but also around a table filled with papers, dice, pencils, erasers, a game master's screen, and a bunch of friends gathered around that table. That first installment, for its time, managed to capture the essence of Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition rules perfectly. Now, since August 3rd, we can finally enjoy the third numbered installment of Baldur's Gate 3, which has arrived on Steam to offer us a unique game. In the upcoming minutes, I'm going to talk about my experience with Baldur's Gate 3, a unique journey in a work that is not perfect but lays the foundation for a new golden age for Western role-playing. This work will serve as a reference for further exploration and improvement of the genre in the coming years. As I always like to do, I'm going to start by discussing the narrative of Baldur's Gate 3 without delving into too many spoilers. Beyond superficial descriptions of how the narrative unfolds or the initial premise of the adventure, as most of you already know, it all begins with our character and some potential allies trapped on a strange ship controlled by the Mind Flayers, dangerous beings with the ambition to control everything within their reach. They start by infecting us with worms, intending to transform us into beings like them, under the control of a hive mind, creating an army to dominate the realms. After escaping the ship, an adventure begins that takes me through some of the most iconic locations in Faerûn. I uncover secrets surrounding the worm in my head, the impending threat to the realms, and the stories of the characters accompanying me on this journey. These characters are just as much protagonists as the character I created. In general, the narrative pace is quite good throughout, maintaining my interest and keeping me engaged, answering questions while generating new ones. This captivated me until the very end of the more than 75-hour journey solely for the main content. The journey never felt long or burdensome. It treated me as a responsible adult player who had to own up to their decisions and behavior. While the story has been consistently good and interesting, featuring both moments that will appeal to new players and fans of Dungeons & Dragons and the saga, there are also minor narrative flaws at certain points. However, these are so minor that they can be overlooked, considering all that the Aryan adventure has to offer. Now, I want to mention a remarkable aspect of Baldur's Gate 3. The game goes to great lengths to respect its origins, which are the rules of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It also attempts to make us feel like we are in a genuine tabletop role-playing session. From character creation to skill rolls, behavior of our characters, combat, trap detection, and various mechanics present in the game, everything is skillfully adapted to resemble the rules of Dungeons & Dragons in the video game world. Furthermore, everything is introduced seamlessly, making it accessible to both newcomers unfamiliar with the basic rules and veterans who want to discover new aspects of the Dungeons & Dragons game that have always been there, but perhaps went unnoticed. Larian Studios even considers the most peculiar elements. For instance, I aim to avoid combat as much as possible by manipulating people. I had doubts at the start of the game about how well this specialization would be integrated, given that such an approach often breaks or isn't well suited to video games. Luckily, that's not the case with Baldur's Gate 3. Thanks to this specialization, advantage rolls, and background bonuses, I managed to emerge unscathed from many challenging situations, manipulating enemies in a unique way. Among all the mechanics and rules incorporated into the game, the stealth mechanics are the ones that need a bit of polishing. For example, using invisibility would break upon performing actions like stealing or interacting with an object. This shouldn't happen. Additionally, enemy sight should be adjusted more accurately. While not directly related to stealth, the mechanics specific to a rogue, like disarming traps or picking locks, are a bit broken. It's too easy for my character, Sterion, to perform these tasks. I'd also like to give a special mention to the significant degree of decision-making in Baldur's Gate 3. Throughout the game, there's a freedom to approach situations from multiple angles. Not a single playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3 is the same. Whether it's confronting battles differently or making various choices throughout the journey, each playthrough is unique. Even within my own experience, I've had two very distinct playthroughs. One with my wizard character, with which I completed the game, and another with my barbarian character, enjoying a second playthrough with many different things and new surprises along the way. Moving on to combat, the possibilities when facing enemies are nearly endless. This stems from the character's abilities or spells, as well as the level design, topography, and positioning of elements within the environment. I've had a great time in all the combat encounters, combining spells, creating all sorts of combos with spells and physical attacks, pushing enemies downstairs, tossing them into a river of lava, banishing them to other dimensions, causing them to be crushed by rocks, and much more. With the exception of some occasional errors, the main issue I've encountered in combat is the artificial intelligence, particularly that of allies I couldn't control. They sometimes behave erratically, recklessly traversing dangerous areas or taking illogical actions that expose them unnecessarily during battles. In fact, during a critical moment of the game, these allies failed to flee a location they should have, jeopardizing a mission I wanted to complete and restricting one of my possible approaches to the game. However, when looking at the enemy AI, in most instances, it behaves quite well. Enemies attempt to surround me, focus damage where it counts, and use the environment to their advantage, although at times they have also exhibited odd behavior, getting stuck or making strange decisions, like walking through hazardous areas. They even seem to have a tendency not to use doors at all. Now I'll discuss the secondary or optional content. In 2023, the debate about secondary quests in video games is ongoing. However, Baldur's Gate 3 appears to have settled this matter quite thoroughly. It is perhaps the game with the best secondary quests I've encountered in my gaming life. These quests are not only numerous and interesting, but they also seamlessly intertwine with the main narrative. They create a harmonious blend, blurring the lines between the main and side stories, making many moments in the game feel as if you're playing a central campaign, an optional storyline, or a mixture of both. Baldur's Gate 3's approach provides a unique cohesiveness in this regard. Serves as a model for how side quests should be integrated into any role-playing or other genre of game in this day and age. This is especially significant considering the prevalent trend of filler content that adds empty playtime without meaningful contribution, present unfortunately in many titles. It's time for this kind of content to become a thing of the past. Concluding the analysis, let's turn our attention to Baldur's Gate 3's technical aspects, which match the high standards set by the rest of the game, both visually and audibly. The game is outstanding. The level of detail in certain objects, such as the painstakingly recreated door of Baldur's Gate and other environments, is simply incredible. Texture quality and effects are also at a very high level. Regarding performance, the game runs very well on my setup, featuring an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080 graphics card, an Intel Core i7 10900K processor, 32 GB of RAM, and SSD. The game easily surpasses 60 FPS at 1440p, all while maintaining ultra graphics settings and using NVIDIA's DLSS 2.0 technology in quality mode. In terms of bugs or issues, the most notable ones include occasional camera problems and a couple of abrupt crashes in my 70 hours of gameplay. These issues are not serious enough to significantly impact the overall enjoyable experience. This singular work seamlessly intertwines main and side quests, ensuring that the player can hardly distinguish between the two. It also strives to make players take full responsibility for their actions, emphasizing the far-reaching consequences of each decision. Without a doubt, this game from Larian Studios stands out as one of the best gaming experiences in recent years. It is poised to create a new generation of role-playing enthusiasts and rekindle the passion for the genre in many. While it does have some flaws that need refinement, such as the eye behavior of certain enemies and most notably allies, as well as certain stealth mechanics and minor narrative issues. These pale in comparison to the remarkable offerings of this outstanding work. Baldur's Gate 3 is an extraordinary game that is bringing joy to hundreds of thousands of players worldwide. It's a unique game that stands as a testament to the future of role-playing games. If you've liked this video, please don't forget to drop a like and hit that subscribe button.